Dale called.
He's not coming?
Yeah, he'll be here about 6. So we can't.
Well, we can go ahead with everything else. Wait on him.
We call him.
Well, this is part of here.
Yeah,
Yeah, it is all him, isn't it? Well, most of it.
We have to call the meeting or so
We never found minutes, never came back about his minutes or anything.
we haven't seen him, we've been trying to contact him. Hospital that helps back up. We're still trying to define a few days. He was unprepared. Thank you. How did you just think of it? I love it. I love it. Where? Oh, I was gonna say that's where, yeah. Really?
They were putting the doors in yesterday, Donnie. Moving up the water plant.
No.
The steering wheel.
They were putting the doors in, things were labeled, but I can't remember what else was on the fence list. Let's see how it went.
Kinda.
Oh, there's the guy.
This is the water project there, isn't it?
Call this meeting to order for the Board of Trustees of the Talihina Public Works Authority. Item number 2, approve or reject minutes of special meeting held in November. We don't have those minutes, so we'll be doing that at another date. Item number 3, approve or reject Public Works Authority purchase orders.
Make a motion to approve.
I have a motion and a second. Any more discussion? Vote.
Donnie?
Yes.
Yes. Rhonda? Yes. Gina?
Yes.
Jackie?
Yes. Item number 4, which is the financial report, we talked about, we have our report. If you have some questions for Mary, get with her, and then, anything needs to be voted on, we can put that on the agenda. Item number 5, attorney's report. Sean's not here tonight. Item number 6, discussion action regarding sewer charge exemption for firefighters. I did not mean to do that. It tickled me when I seen that. What has happened is we have had an account that has not been being billed for sewer. And it was caught, and so they started billing them for sewer for the first time in years last month.
An individual?
An individual, yes, residents. And they came in and talked to Mary and said, I don't get billed sewer. And she was like, yeah, you do. And he was like, nope, I don't get billed sewer. He said, that was given to me in exchange for the years of service on the fire department. I've never been charged sewer. Well, we went back and looked, and he had never been charged sewer, but there were several people that had not been charged sewer due to some mistakes that had been made, and they had no affiliation with the fire department. So he wanted Mary to call me and ask me about that. So she did, and I told her I had no knowledge of any type of arrangement, nor would that be legal, I don't think. And he wasn't real satisfied with that, so he wanted me to put it on the agenda and have the council talk about that. Are you aware of anything like that?
No. Everybody on
Yes,
that.
Mary.
Not only that, but I also looked at several other current and retired firefighter accounts, and they all have sewer charges, not only currently, but going back. He was the only one I can find with the exception. But he has been visiting with other retired firefighters, so I'm getting that request a little more frequently now.
Getting the request, yes.
Right, because he's been talking to some other folks who had served with him.
Did the individual remember what year this was approved?
He did not
No,
mention
but-
that. He's an elderly gentleman, and he would have been here tonight. He was coming Monday, but he's not feeling well.
Yeah. You might pass that on.
Did you know that?
But I don't have any knowledge of it. That was a great thing, I guess, if someone came up with that, but I don't think, we can't find anybody that has any knowledge of that, and I don't think you can do that. But he wanted us to talk about it.
I think we could if we chose to, probably. I don't see why.
Well, I can probably see it happening in the old days, because in the old days, the city
Yeah.
didn't buy uniforms or anything for them. They just jumped in what they had on and went to a fire. So nowadays, you have equipment and stuff. So I can see it happening.
But I don't know.
Do we need to table
if
it till we can get a chance to look at the minutes or
But I don't
something?
know
Or?
if it's legal for you to do that.
I don't
I don't know if it's legal for you to exchange things like that. I mean, we'd have to ask the city attorney to decide.
We have to ask the attorney, but I believe, at least used to, and this was an old time guy that told me this, he retired from the Poto Fire Department and he got free water from the city.
So maybe it is.
So it may be legal, but I don't have anything to back it on, just a knowledge of a former
He
friend.
seems
and
to
a-
be the only one that we can find.
Well, we were given, of course, she's not here now, but we were giving Emmy
Emmy
Cox free
because-
water
Because
because of this
the water-
service they gave when we didn't have any water. They let us use
Somebody did,
their lake.
yes.
But that, I don't think that we, even if that was done in previous councils, I don't think that we would have to abide by that. It's just whether we wanted to honor it or not, but without a date or anything to be able to go back and find those old records.
No, and if we do choose to do that, we have to do it for all of them.
So we want to table it till we get some more information, talk to us.
I think we need to talk to Sean about it.
Mhm.
Probably. But you've been made aware of that situation, and he wanted you to know, and we'll see if we can't talk to Sean, get that back on the agenda, and see if that's something we want to do. Okay, I'm gonna kind of skip around a little bit, Donna, okay? Item number 11, we cannot go into executive session because we don't have where we're exiting or what the results were from executive session. I shouldn't have skipped down that much, sorry. But we'll go back to item number 9. Approve, reject authorizing the Talihina Branch Spiral State Bank to release online banking passwords to Mary Timmons for the Talihina Public Works bank accounts.
I make that motion. Second.
I have a motion and a second. Any more discussion? Vote.
Donnie?
Yes.
Yes. Rhonda? Yes. Gina?
Yes.
And Jackie?
Yes. Item number 10, approve, reject authorizing the Talihina Branch Spiral State Bank to release account information to Mary Timmons for the Talihina Public Works bank accounts.
Make that motion.
I have a motion and a second. Any more discussion? Vote.
Gina, are you abstaining from this?
I
I know you
need
did
to.
last
I
night.
We need somebody else to do
I
it for a
will
second.
make that motion on both of them.
Okay.
Or second, you mean?
A second, yeah.
I have a motion and a second. Any more discussion? Vote.
Donnie?
Yes.
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 Jackie?
Yes.
You skipped me.
I know you abstained.
Item number 14, we'll have no action on that because we're going to have that special budget meeting on January 22nd
22nd.
at 5:30. So item number 15, approve or reject authorizing the financial officer to make online payments to Staples for council approved invoices in order to award levies.
I make a motion to approve.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Any more discussion? Vote.
Donnie?
No.
Yes. Rhonda?
Yes.
Gregson? Jackie?
Yes. Okay, the only other things we have on this agenda is for them, and we have no public forum, but we do have someone here to talk to the council. We're actually gonna let them speak to the council under new business, and we actually need Dale here to maybe answer some questions about that. But is everyone aware why Charlotte is here? Are you not?
No, I wasn't until I read this.
Okay. Dale has actually put in a proposal to their Latin Rural Water District, and they have a master meter. And Dale has put in a proposal to possibly move that meter from its location because the equipment we have now won't read that meter electronically because of the trees and things in the way. And they had came voicing their concern of moving that meter. You're not opposed to getting a new meter, you just would prefer it not be moved. Right now, correct me if I'm wrong, but it's inside the building? Is that
our pump
inside the
station.
building? And so what our thing is what I'd like to know, are we wanting to move that because of convenience or because of necessity? And that was gonna be my question to Dale. If we're just moving that for our convenience, I don't see any reason to have to go through all of that, just if it has to do with being able to read the meter electronically or something like that.
He talked to, is Dale the engineer?
Dale's the engineer, and he's on his way, so.
Okay, he talked to him.
He said it would work from our pump station, is what he told me,
But he didn't want to do that.
But he didn't want to do that. Well, it's not going to be up to him whether he does that or not, but we would like for him to talk to us about that, and he is on his way. If we have time to maybe take maybe a 10-minute break and reconvene, is that okay with the council? And I hate to do that to you, but it's best if we can just wait on it, because we don't want to have to wait 2 more days to have another meeting. I do apologize for
I've got one
that.
other new business thing.
Okay,
If we
we'll go
go
ahead
ahead and
and
address that, then, Philip, we just received notification that we're gonna have a violation, and I wondered if you could address that, just real quick and explain
Over
it.
the TOCs,
TTHM,
okay, those are trimethanes and probably your HAA5s, or does it just say trimethanes?
It's all right.
Okay, what it is,
the disinfectant byproducts. Yeah.
those are caused when chlorine reacts with your total organic carbons, which is your TOCs. And that's what that's what a lot of this project is about out there, is to get our TOC removal down. Because with our low raw water alkalinity and everything like that, we have to remove either 45 or 55% of our TOCs, and we're only doing about 30 to 35%. So that's what that is, so we can try to get those raw water TOCs down.
But we had a violation again this third quarter when the plant was up and functioning.
Well, I just picked up this last quarters. We had, at that time when I picked those up the last time, we weren't quite complete out there. Now we are. And I picked those up Monday. They picked them up Tuesday. And I talked to Carrie Condon. She's the head of ERT Labs in Ada. And she said she should have the results back she'd have them for us in a couple of weeks. Then we'll know how we're doing, and if we're not matching it, then we're probably going to switch over from our ACH, which is aluminum chlorohydrate, over to a ferric base or an iron base coagulant.
So we need to get our numbers so good out there that when we're still averaging in 2013, because this is not gonna look good to the public. Here we spend all this money and have a brand new plant
That's
going, and
right.
we're still getting these reports. That's not gonna cut it for us.
Mm-hmm.
So that's my concern, is that we're still violating in the third quarter.
I don't understand why.
Yeah, but
The third quarter would have been,
I would pick those up in,
no, that would have been what months?
June through September.
June through September, thank you.
and I picked them up in September. So we were real close.
We were real close. I thought we had everything on, almost all
We
in
do
line.
now, for sure, for a couple months now, for two or 3 months. When I picked them up, I have to pick them up the second Tuesday of second Monday of every month, of that month. And so that shows you how long it's been. So we'll know here in a couple of weeks if we're doing what we're supposed to be doing.
When was the violation for? I missed that.
We violated those TOCs just about every time since they brought it into existence.
But I was wondering, the BQ letter, what the dates were.
The date of this letter is December 4th, 2014, and it's saying that the 12-month period of the fourth quarter of 2013 and the third quarter of 2014.
During the third quarter.
So
Yeah, third
that's
quarter.
not, one of them was before we had.
They have
the
to
new
average them out, so
things.
yeah, this is our old problem is in there, but what got my concern was this third quarter. I want to make sure that we're doing
Yes.
And
everything.
so I think probably what's happening is we're learning to use that equipment, and It's kind of going through.
Well,
But we shouldn't
I
have
think
this
it's, I think it's
problem.
mostly,
We
it's
shouldn't
mostly
have this
now.
problem.
If we don't meet it this time, then we're gonna have to do something with our coagulant and our treatment chemicals to find out something that we can
Well,
get those
not meeting
TOCs
it
down.
will no longer be an exception, I think is what Rhonda's trying to say, because of all the, just saying we gotta figure out what it is and.
Exactly.
We've
I
gotta
agree.
learn quickly how to run this new plant. You know, we
Because-
gotta keep it running.
Well, see, and
efficient.
that's another thing. My equipment, lab equipment should be getting here.
Right.
And with one piece of equipment, I can run TOCs at our laboratory. And if I already had that, I'd be running them all quite often.
Well, and what we have to also do is make sure that this equipment that Dale has recommended and that we have purchased is working, functioning
Properly, because we're getting ready to go into this
So,
final inspection,
you know,
so
we're
we're gonna
gonna-
make sure.
We're gonna have to get down to where is the equipment functioning properly?
Is
Do
it
we need to adjust? Is it not doing what?
Well, I also talked to Dale about our equipment today, and he called Billy Howard, I believe, and he's trying to round up the equipment that we're purchasing. He's got some of it, that should be on its way. I don't know which ones they are yet, but they
Well-
should be on our way, and I talked with Tommy out there, and he said we should be getting some of it this week.
Is that final inspection Tuesday?
Yes.
So, I got a lot to do between now and then.
Yeah, and then in your report for this month, you said that the computer tech has now programmed it to call. When did that happen?
Today.
Today, so that's new, okay, because I knew it hadn't happened Monday or Tuesday.
So we've set up a final inspection?
I got
Yeah.
a letter saying that it was Tuesday.
Dale called me, did he
It
not
was
call
in my
you?
box. I don't have it with me, I picked it up this
There's
morning.
one in everybody's box.
There's one in everybody's box, okay.
Yeah.
Donnie, your stuff's still in your box, I seen it when I came back. Everybody else's was gone. but yours was-
While you're here, Philip,
Mm-hmm.
on the problem we had with the leak,
That the big league?
Mhm.
Yes.
and you didn't get any alarm or anything?
None of us did. That's why you
What-
got
what-
there getting that set up.
What did Haynes say about that? Was that not part of the original?
It just some kind of, they just didn't get it right.
Okay.
Now it's set up, it is going to be calling
Mhm.
everybody's cell phone and the other laptop computer that Wayne keeps at the house for the
Right.
internet, correct?
Okay, is that our computer or Wayne's computer?
No, it's our computer. It was part of the
But he has the
equipment.
internet.
And that's, I'm sorry,
Uh-huh.
that's programmed to where whenever we start seeing the computers that are showing that we're losing water or whatever, it's programmed to call.
You can go out there.
That's one of the alarms is if our concrete clear well gets below 6 feet or our steel tank gets below a certain amount of feet and it's not filling back up. It'll set off an alarm, it'll call. It'll call if anything like that, if our raw water pump goes down, it'll call. If our distribution pump, our high surface pump goes down, it'll call. If the power goes out and the other systems don't come on, it'll call.
Who's it called?
You'll call me, or,
Wayne?
Wayne, Keith, and Cortez.
So it calls all of those?
It'll stop when somebody's got the phone. If somebody's there and it
Okay.
calls them, you answer it, it'll
So
stop.
you're first and then it goes
More
on
than
down
likely.
the line.
And,
We need to find out
But
exactly
what I'll
how
do,
that goes, not
since
when.
nobody's gonna call Wayne first, and here's the reason. Wayne's got the computer. You'll call him, probably almost just about everything that it calls on, he can do on the computer for the plant. But he's gonna call me too, and that way, the reason that's not calling me first, because he's got the computer, and that would just waste time for me to get on the phone and call him, but he's gonna call me.
Since you're the plant operator, should you not have the computer?
I don't have any access to the internet.
You can't get access to the internet where you live?
I imagine I could,
I asked if it was something that we could purchase, it could be operated on a laptop, or we purchased the cell phone service to go with the operator on duty and be traveling around. And Wayne was uncertain if it could operate without having a secure landline or secure
It
internet
seems like
line.
we're kind of going about it in a roundabout.
I agree. I haven't actually seen it. Is it a laptop or is it a notepad? I know you don't know much
but
about
I
it.
think it's Notepad.
A notepad.
Yeah, because Wayne was talking about it today,
Okay.
so it's a
I haven't
Notepad.
actually, so on those notepads, you can usually buy,
I don't think we own a notepad.
it came in with this system, is what Wayne was
Oh,
telling me.
so, okay, not
And
the old
because when,
laptop.
on Monday, I went out there and I could look at the monitor and I could tell that water filters were running, if we were backwashing, I could tell that our tower was full. Nobody was there, but I was able to look at that. So this same report will be on that tablet or notepad. But
And used to, when you had everything at the water plant, there was an operator there 24/7 to where they monitored it visually.
Now they can still do that.
Changed.
Yeah, and if you haven't been out there, it's
Yeah.
really good
Oh,
to
yeah,
go
it's
out
great.
and look at that system they
Good, I've been
have.
out there.
And that's why with what we're doing for Bengal, is they'll be able to tell and monitor the flow. If Bengal has an excessive amount of water coming through, they can say, there's a break in that line
That's
somewhere.
that's why we personally get the meter readings every morning at 8 o'clock. We've been doing that for
So we
years.
didn't have this last week, we had it to the stand.
We had it if somebody was sitting there and watching that monitor. But the last personnel went home at 11 and the leak happened sometime after that. And this to call system was not set up, so nobody got called. Now, I don't know, do we need to let our dispatchers know this, or do we just want to let these 4 people know and let them call into the
They
dispatchers?
need to call into the dispatchers.
If it's something that you guys can't immediately fix, somebody.
Well, I think the dispatch needs to always know if there's any type of situation going on in town, even if it's a water leak, they need to know, because you're gonna have people calling
When we
in, your police department needs to
When
know.
we had that last big water leak, of course, we did have a system set up. I let Mary know and I let the police department know
Yeah,
about
but
it.
that was way after hours when Mary got
Yes.
here. You
What
know,
time
we're-
was that?
Yeah.
Shoot, I think I got called in at 4:30 in the morning.
And you called,
Kim,
Wouldn't have called
No,
Mary that time.
yeah.
I think
14.
Keith got called, and Keith called Philip, from what I think the record said.
yeah.
No, Keith didn't get called, and Keith didn't call Philip?
We called Keith and Keith called us back and we called Phil.
Oh, okay, but Keith got called first, okay,
There he is.
gotcha.
On the sludge ponds, Philip, I noticed the cattails are missing.
Yeah.
Did they drain those, or did they just come around the edge with the track hoe and pull them out?
They just went around with the track hoe and dug them out.
That's what I thought.
Is that a bad thing?
Yeah, that's not what they were
We've
supposed
been
to have
talking
done.
about-
If you don't get the cattails out by the roots and everything, they just grow right back.
Yeah, but they were supposed to drain them and drain one and clean it out like they were supposed to, and then fill it up and do the other one. Not just go around the edge and pull the cattails up.
Now, one thing that's happening that's not good is we're not bringing enough water back with our decant pumps. We're only bringing, it's only about 35 gallons a minute, and that's barely keeping us caught up with the amount of water that we use to backwash our filters at night.
Right.
Got backwash pump needs to be other side, not backwash, but decant pump.
The only other question I have is we treated
We're not gonna ask how.
14,500,000 gallons basically. Mary, do you know how many gallons we billed for November?
Yeah, over 13 million.
13 million, okay.
I can-
So that's coming back, that's getting like it needs to be.
Yeah.
Have we figured out why that anomaly was happening, or?
Yes, I know exactly what's happening. It was before we knew how much water was in our tanks. When there's no way to gauge it. And we were probably overfilling and running over a little bit. But since we've got that under control and everything, we know exactly what the level is in our tanks. Sometimes I'll slow that water plant up and down 2 or 3 times a day just to keep the level right so we don't overflow those tanks. And the operators at night know to do it too. They do the same thing.
I'm a little concerned that there was something going on out there that was being done improperly, and Philip knew right off the bat how they did that and that it was wrong. If you had not have asked that question, we would have never known that, right? That it was removed.
I don't know if we'd have known it, or,
Who's, you know,
but we were losing 10 million gallons of water every month. Now,
I'm just
part of it could be
wondering-
the meters, part of it could be leaks, part of it could be,
Well, part of it was
but the
probably,
pinpoint is what we was trying to figure out.
yeah.
probably part of that, Donnie, was what was not being billed. Wouldn't that be counted as non?
Well, I doubt there was that much.
That was only some of it. A lot of it was, there was a break on a 6-inch water line, and it took them forever to find it. And that lasted, I think, probably for about 9 months. And the reason it made it so hard is because the summer just begun, you know, it was getting hot, and, you know, our water started spiking up. Then I noticed it when all the KVA went off and Boy Scouts went off, and we didn't come down as far as we should have. And that's when they started looking for a leak, and it took them forever to find it. And it was a doozy.
Back to, they took care of that problem.
Yes.
Improperly. who should have brought that to their attention that this is not how you're supposed to be doing that?
What's that that didn't take care of any problem?
They're removing of the cattails.
Well, I wasn't, they were getting down into the dirt. I kind of assumed, I mean, into the mud and everything, I kind of assumed that they probably had, but I'm
Because I
not
just
sure.
think, things like,
Just
somebody,
where on the edge like that's a good way to bust your dam though, because when you're digging out on the edge, you're pulling back into the dam. That's how you bust your dams on your.
just
ponds.
wondering how many things have happened.
We really don't have, it's not really a dam, it's just a hole, there are holes in the ground.
For sludge ponds. You can't turn your sludge water just out, it has to dry
No, but what I'm
naturally.
saying is anything that holds water, when you pull into your banks that hold your water like that, you cut into your seal.
I think if we see.
Integrity of it.
Yeah. I think if we see something being done that maybe we're questioning, maybe we should call somebody about it and say, hey, I don't think this is being done
Well,
properly.
at the time, I
Instead of
really wasn't
waiting for
questioning
someone
it
asks.
at the time.
Right. Okay.
So we shouldn't have another leak that no one knows about that drains our tank and hoses?
Excuse me?
So are we so the likelihood of us having another leak like we did the last one, that took the whole town,
Oh,
Likelihood of not knowing it.
of not knowing
Well,
what were happening?
before I was superintendent, I made the comment to somebody else that was out there, that when they were putting that 13-inch line in, and Dale wasn't even with him yet. And I noticed they did, when you lay a line, you're supposed to put some fill in, and then cover your line completely. That protects it from the old rocks and everything, and they just dumped the old material right back into the ditch.
She's talking about the programming, the hang.
Gina's talking about now you will know, now that
you
we're
will know
programmed, and this is all on backup power, so there should be no reason that we would not know that there is a
There
leak.
shouldn't be, but
Unless all cell phone towers go out, that's the only reason I could think of.
Yeah, there shouldn't be, but it's
And
not.
we have had that happen. All cell phone towers went down for the whole area.
Because we couldn't have saved any of our businesses or homes that day.
We'll move on to
Thank you very
item number
much,
7.
But I'm serious, that was an engineer, and he knew what he was doing. I can't prove exactly what he did, but I'm sure know exactly what he didn't do. And when they have fixed the leak on that line, and that, we've had about 4 or 5 on that 12-inch line. And when they have filled, they've noticed that it was not done the way according to specifics.
Probably the same ones that did Clayton, wasn't it, Bill?
What's that?
Probably the same
It
people that
was.
did Clayton. Because they were telling us how bad Clayton's lines are.
It was. In fact, Buffalo Valley's on us again right now. They laid Buffalo Valley's line, but Buffalo Valley's not really having too many problems with their lines. What causing them problems is the Sardis water plant.
Are they still tying that?
I thought they weren't supposed to do that unless it was an emergency.
They called. Well, they did have no
They didn't have
water.
anyone.
No.
And they called, and right now with the way our plant is, we can easily take care of them unless we've got a problem.
And I think everybody needs to understand, the Buffalo Valley meter is not tied into the SCADA system.
So what does that mean?
That means that electronically, you won't know,
Oh, yeah, right.
you can't tell how much water you're producing, how much water you're selling and everything else. That's gonna have to be looked at manually. We did not put that meter on.
And
But we do have the manual meters though.
whenever Buffalo Valley's on us, we do read their meter manually.
Okay. Item number 7, approve or reject paying invoice TAL 070336 to Melbourne Brawley in the amount of $1,329.43 for water treatment plant and distribution improvements.
Which one is that? That's 100%. What have we done 100% of?
I have to look at it. That's the residual management plan. That's an old invoice. When I was going back and looking at the budget, find out how much money we had and everything. I noticed we had only billed $2,500 for the residual management plan, and the contract was for $3,500. The budget was for $3,500.
That's the next one.
So that's not what he showed. He showed $35,000.
November 26th.
Residual is the second one.
Okay, that's the second one. Okay, this one here is
Isn't that number 7? No, I'm on 8, aren't I? Yeah, number 7.
Number 7 is this. This is one
Okay.
here. We're still 95%.
Right. Okay.
Engineering.
Right, I can see that one.
But we're owed.
Now, I guess it will come up under HCCO, but I do have some questions about the sludge pond.
I make a motion to pay.
A second
I
that.
have a motion and a second. Any more discussion? Vote.
Donnie?
Yes.
Yes. Sarah? Rhonda?
Yes.
Jason?
Yes.
Jackie?
Yes.
She did call by first name.
Did that residual management plan was what? What was that exactly?
It basically tells what to do with it. It's something that's required before they will approve plans.
Okay, this is before we started anything.
Yeah.
Okay, so it's way old.
Yeah, we're done with 2008.
2 years old, yeah, or more. 4 years
Well, they
old.
had noticed by now. Just looks fine.
Item number 8, approve or reject paying invoice TAL 080402 to Melbourne Raleigh in the amount of $1,000 for water treatment residual management plan.
Make a motion to approve.
Second.
Have a motion and a second. Any more discussion? Vote.
Donnie?
Yes.
Yes. Rhonda? Yes. Gina?
Yes.
Jackie?
Yes. Item number 12, approve or reject pay estimate number 17 to HCCCO LLC for water treatment plant and distribution improvements.
This is for the contractor. He actually was not willing to submit to pay S1, okay? Real development, if you remember right, when we did this project, we had 2 loans and 2 grants. The original loan grant was done back in 2007, and the other one was done back when we bid the project, put the generators in and some other things, right? Real development is under a lot of pressure to spend the money that's as old as the original grant and loan, okay? So I asked HCCO to give us a progress pay app so we can, because if we don't spend it, they could easily take it from us, okay? So I asked them for this pay app.
But technically, that's not our fault, that's the contractor's fault for not completing the project on time.
You're absolutely right. You're absolutely right. He's beyond his.
He's way
his
beyond,
time.
way beyond.
Yes.
And I'm a little frustrated on these sludge ponds. When we've talked about that several times on those sludge ponds, and talked about the need to drain them and do it right. And all they've done is come back with a little track hoe or something and just dug the cattails around the perimeter is all they've done.
Okay, I talked to Tom. I haven't been out there. You been out there?
Yeah.
Okay. I have not been out there.
As wet as it is, I know they didn't drain it and it didn't get low enough on its own. And they just went around the perimeter with a track hoe and just pulled the cattails out, and they're gonna try to say that's good. And I don't think that's good. So I need to know what we need to do about that, to hold their feet to the fire on that.
Well, we're gonna have a final inspection, and that's when we'll tell them to do it. I
We're-
mean, we're still holding, how much of their money we still holding? We're still holding, what's that dollar amount?
Well, this is 100 and,
166,000.
okay.
We're still holding 166,000.
Now, what did they tell you on this? Was their what progression they were on this? Where would this put them on the progression? If I'm looking at this chart right.
If you look right here at the front, this is the total contract cost. Their total contract right now is 2.9 million, 2.87, and they're saying that they have completed enough work for 2.96, so they're about $20,000 still left to be worked on as far as work goes.
And so that would leave us, if we took 20,000 out of there, it'd leave us 146, 40, 95, right? Left on this balance to finish on the retainage?
Well, it actually.
Because that would be their percentages too, wouldn't it? No? What's the percentage retainage that we're doing on them?
We're holding 5% retainage.
Okay, so that would be all their retainage right there, would it not?
Pretty much all but 20,000.
So they'd be getting paid 100% once we gave them their retainage, and still don't have everything completely.
Well, if you look right here, they said on the lagoons, 0.9, so they're claiming 90%.
Yeah, they're claiming 90%, and I'm saying it's probably not 90%. If all they did, after we looked at that last time, was pull those cattails out, I wouldn't consider that 90%, would you?
If that's all they did, no.
Yeah,
They,
that's all we
they
did.
sent me pictures and pictures look good, but like I said, you can't see underneath the wall.
Right.
So I don't know what they did.
Well, they didn't drain it.
Mhm.
So, when we talked about the integrity of the seal,
Mhm.
how do we know the integrity of the seal is there without it being drained to be able to visually see it?
Yeah.
So that's one of my concerns is the sludge ponds. I don't see any sense paying somebody $40,000 to go around the perimeter with that backtrack hole and pull the cattails out.
I agree.
Well, that's not all that they did do. They did deep sludge those lagoons first time around. Problem is we couldn't keep the water off of them.
But that again, that's
Until
not our
they'd
fault.
gone- Until they'd gone in and we're sure that they had gone in and done those things that they should do. Probably Philip is telling us that they haven't.
Okay?
You probably didn't know that until tonight either.
No,
You weren't aware of that.
I actually called Philip and Tom and they told me that it looked
That's
good.
why I asked Philip, I'm like, Philip, you know, at what
But
point
Yeah.
do you think that was wrong?
Did they tell you that it was, everything was done?
They told me it looked good, that's all I asked them.
We're pulling
Did it look
up
good?
cattails that are now dormant.
Excuse me?
We're pulling up cattails that are now dormant, correct? They go dormant in the wintertime, so in the springtime, if those roots are still there, those tubulars are still there, they're gonna sprout back up.
You will always have cattails in the lagoon. You have to maintain, it's just like a pond. You can't just pull cattails out of a pond and expect the pond not to ever have cattails again. You have to maintain those ponds. We have to keep them mowed, we have to keep everything out of them, we have to keep the brush out of it. You have to maintain those ponds. Now, what's gonna help is we got a return pump in those ponds, okay? And we can keep the liquid down. Cattails have to have liquid to survive, okay? So as long as we maintain those ponds and keep that return pumps going, you shouldn't have an issue with those ponds anymore, as long as we maintain them.
Even if the roots are not removed? I mean, wouldn't it be best to go in there and do the job right this time and then us maintain it?
You know.
You may not be able to remove the
On-
roots without
on my
disturbing the
lawn,
integrity of it.
I have removed cattails 5 or 6 times.
Well,
You cannot, you know, I don't know.
We're not gonna play the game away with the cattails, but my point is, if the job was spec'd to be done a certain way and it wasn't done that way, we shouldn't pay them.
And I agree with that.
And that's all I'm saying, so we need to actually clarify that. In my opinion, we need to clarify that before we pay them.
Okay.
So I don't know what we need to do here as far as this goes. I mean, I understand what you're talking about, the fact that it was originally a 360-day contract and it's 700 and something, which is ridiculous on our part for letting it go that far. Without penalties and some other things. I didn't see the original contract, so I didn't know if it had penalty clauses in it or
Yes,
anything.
penalty clause.
And we never once exercised a penalty clause.
No, we have not.
And so I think we've been over extremely backwards, more than we should have. And so I don't know, I don't want to be a,
Can we okay it pending that?
Which amount is it? I'm unclear.
35,577.
It's a
Mhm. But that only leaves about, and as far as what they claim that they haven't done, about $15,000 altogether. Or is it that much? Yeah, about 15,000,
Plus
plus the retainage.
Plus the meters. That did not include the change order.
Didn't include the change order. Now, where does that put us on our contingency money that we have?
I get ready to go over that.
Okay. Before I'm concerned about that.
If the council's uncomfortable with approving this, okay, I'll go back to real development and we'll ask for some more extensions. Okay? And that's.
Is that
I
John?
don't think we're uncomfortable approving it. I think it's just we want to make sure that everything's been done that should have been done. And it sounds like Philip told you it looks good and
Well,
we haven't really checked yet.
yeah.
We're going on.
I have not personally checked it.
So what I'm saying is why don't we go ahead and approve it and then let Dale check it out and, you know, get back with Rhonda or Donnie and since you guys have been working on that. I feel comfortable
We'll
with
be out there
that.
on Tuesday to inspect it, so we can hold the check for that long. And if it's not done properly, then we'll just hold it a little while longer. until
Yeah,
it's done.
just don't approve.
Do you feel comfortable with that?
I'd hold it off until And John, I'm sure John's still the boss down in Atoka, isn't he?
What's that?
John Redmond,
Yeah?
he's still the boss down there, isn't he?
No,
He's not down there anymore?
he's down there, he's not the boss.
Okay.
So do you want to approve it or not?
He moved to a different division.
He moved to a
Still
different
there,
deal.
but-
Okay.
But he's more of a housing guy now.
A what?
Housing
Okay, housing, okay.
versus water and wastewater.
I think we should go
I,
ahead
I,
and approve it.
I, I
It
think,
being that.
I think we're okay? Just don't approve the thing until we meet down there Tuesday.
Yeah, because Billy will be out there and we can,
Billy's out there, you know, we can walk around, we can take a look at it. I'll just talk to rural development and we'll get to the next stage. I mean, it's.
we're talking about a few weeks.
This still isn't going to spend all of that money, but it was going to get us a lot. I think there's $60,000 left that needs to be spent. Okay,
I can spend it.
315 out of the other grant. But I get a call every month, wanting to know, how come we didn't spend our money? Well, in my mind, we had already spent the money, but that's because of what I'm getting ready to tell you on the water plant, on the budget itself.
Okay, so we'll have no action on item number 12. We'll move on to item number 13. Approve or reject change order number 7 for Collins Waterworks LLC for Section A water distribution system improvements.
Okay. This is just to go along with that, okay? This is where we are with the project itself, okay? As we stand today, top sheet is the budget. The top sheet is where we are today. HCCO, with all their change orders and everything, is right at that $3 million contract, okay? Collins Waterworks is at $767,240, and that's as of today. That does not include the change order that's in front of you. And then the water tower was $678, okay? With all of the fees and everything where we spent and everything we're going through, if you go down to the bottom line, you'll see City of Talihina. Right there, okay? Does everybody see it? 64,373. That, when we were in design, unbeknownst to me, some of our bills were being paid out of the PWA funds versus the CRG. If you remember right, we went and got a loan from CRG to pay for all the pre-construction costs. Okay? Those bills got paid. So Real Development has been carrying that $63,376 throughout the project. Okay? If you add that in there, then that's our contingency, $123,549.10. That's how much money we have in contingency as we stand today. Okay? If you look at the second page, if anybody has any questions, please stop me and
So the town of Talihina has invested $64,376.39 of the town's money, and that's part of this money that's left over. Is that what you're saying?
that's what I'm
Okay.
saying.
Okay.
Go to the third page, I stayed for a moment. Okay. The third page is if that money was not put into the project, okay, the 63,000, your contingency would have been $59,172. Okay.
Okay, help me out a little bit, Dale. You said it was paid for out of one fund, but it should have been paid out of another fund?
Yeah, we set up, well, it can be paid out of any fund.
Okay, that's what I didn't.
You know, if you paid it out of your own funds, you didn't have to pay no interest on it because it was an interest-bearing loan. Okay, so, you know, I wasn't involved in it. I don't know if anybody here remembers it. It's so long ago. But, you know, if you had the money, it's actually cheaper for the city to go ahead and pay that. That way they don't have to pay the interest on that interest-bearing loan. I can only guess, but I'm assuming that's what happened.
Okay, how was it paid in the first place? How was it paid again?
It had to be paid out of PWA funds somewhere.
Yeah,
Okay.
it was the public works money.
Okay, public works money. Now,
It
but
wasn't
you're saying
from
that,
another-
USDA or CRG is still carrying as a,
No, CRG, once you get into construction, that interest-bearing loan
uh-huh,
that pays for all the pre-construction costs gets paid off with real development. Real development will not release any money until you actually have a construction contract.
well, you said if we take that into consideration, we have the contingency of 123. So is there any agencies gonna say, wait a minute, that hasn't been taken care of, or do we need to clarify on the 64,000, or? So it's automatically there and nobody's questioning it?
It's automatically there.
Okay.
Right now, right as we speak, real development has $123,000
Okay.
in their bank account for this project.
Okay,
But, well, if we want them to, they will send us $64,376.39. We don't have to spend that.
That's correct.
How much of this has to be spent? $59,172.71?
That's correct.
So what we want to know is, do you want to mix that money together and do something different, or do you want?
Real development,
The 64.
that money was earmarked for engineering and legal and some other, I forgot what all it was earmarked for, okay? You can ask for reimbursement of that money right there, and rural development will reimburse you that money.
Right. So, but our change order is for 101,000.
The only reason I put that change order together is because way back when, we did half of First Street, and we said, okay,
Right,
let's hold
okay.
on some money until we get the plant done, because we don't know what else we might have to do to the plant to make it all operate right. That's the change order that says, if you want to do the rest of First Street, that's how much it's going to cost.
Gotcha.
That's the only purpose for that change order.
So what can we do for $59,172.71?
Well, you can put in line, there's a couple of things that we can still do at the plant, we got that one.
well, we need some backup motors and pumps in case one goes out, we haven't done.
I think you can get spare pumps with that money, yeah. I was thinking about that one room, we talked about replacing some windows and putting some ventilation, maybe.
What
air
about fiber
conditioning.
optic line? I understand that we burned through some of our lines from the pump down below the dam, where it's reading up into our system.
I have not heard that.
I've been told
That's
that there was like
under
3
warranty.
lines, and there's 2 of them already been burnt out.
If
And they
that
didn't put
is
fiber
the case.
optic in, they ran copper lines.
I haven't heard that.
We need to address that then, we look
We
at
need to address
Tuesday.
that Tuesday.
And I'm not trying to jump around, but I am.
No, it's fine.
Did you get a hold of Lamb,
Yes.
Kelly? And
Yes.
we're okay on the,
We're okay.
Okay.
He wanted me first to, and we're changing power down at the raw water pump station for what I call cleaner power. Okay, it should save more motors. They gonna say it's gonna save them all, but it will save more. The electric company said they'll come down and change that.
okay,
Now, I called Tom and asked him if that had already been done, and he didn't know. But Hal, the electrical guy that you told me to go talk to, it wasn't gonna be a big deal. He'd go down and get
Right.
it taken care of.
yeah, he'd changed his cell phone number while we couldn't get a hold of him, and,
So there, the bottom line is you got $123,000 left. The question is, what do you want to do with it? 63,000 of that could be reimbursed back to the PWA account. And you all can spend it however you want to, okay? Now, I did talk to Gayleen, she said, well, I'd like for them to go ahead and fund your short-lived assets accounts and other stuff. Well, that's fine for her, but she really can't dictate that. You know what I mean?
Tell me after, if we did accept this change order, wouldn't there be other charges coming in after this for, to Melberger Brawley? Isn't there some more?
it's rolled
Because I
in.
don't see it in any of that.
It's
I don't
rolled
see
into the second-
Administration.
If you look at the second page.
Second page has it? Okay, I
Second
was just looking at
page.
the change order.
Second page, if you agree to the change order, if you want to do all of First
I gotcha.
Street, this is how much money you would have left, and that does
Well-
include all of the engineering fees and everything.
It does?
Yes, it does.
And where do I see those fees in this change order? Help me.
If you look right here,
Engineering fee base, I got you.
okay, if you look at that, that says 283.
283,000.
If you look at here, you know, I mean, that's a whole. 283.
277.
277 versus 280.
But some of that's, we don't have that much money. How much would be the fee on this?
34,500.
Okay, where are you seeing that? That's what I'm
Additional
looking at.
Additional engineering.
Oh, down here at the bottom, 34.5,
No,
okay.
no.
Additional engineering's not right, okay.
Okay.
What is it?
My engineering fee curve, okay, my engineering is based on percentage of construction. As the construction goes up, my engineering fee goes up, and that line gets changed as
From
that.
277 to 280.
Okay, it was 277 before to 283.
Okay, I
So
got you.
it's $5,000.
So it's included.
Yes, it's included. If you approve change order 7, you will have $14,000 left in contingency.
Gotcha, okay.
And right before I came to this meeting, I talked to Philip, see if there was anything out the plan that needed to be done, and, you know, it's the same thing, you know, we talked about.
We have the generator set up to where if we lose power, we've got a generator that's gonna supply the Indian Hospital and the Veterans Center. Is that taken care of?
No, we didn't talk about that part of this.
They were talking about, what was that? And it was
Well, we
Wayne
talked about
telling me
getting a
about
generator down here at the pump at the lagoons to take care of the hospital, but we're gonna try to work through the tribe to get them to purchase the generator and then
Yeah, that's
work it
first
out.
off.
I talked with Billy Howard, and he said that big generator we got, we can run an electrical line down to the raw water plant. That it was powerful, strong enough to power both plants, the raw water pump station and the water plant. If we could do that, then we could use the portable generator down below the hill, as long as we made it where nobody could get to it.
I talked to my electrical engineer who sized those things, and he said your line loss would be so much
That's-
needed down to.
you're right.
To the raw water.
Me and you already talked about it.
That's not feasible.
So we have to spend $59,172.71 is the amount we have to spend.
Oh, you can give it back.
But I mean, yeah, that's the, okay.
On the
Well, let me ask you this, if we give it back, does it go toward the loan or towards the grant?
Always great.
It's always great, okay? The-
Dang, I said we can pay off part of the loan with it.
we gotta get a heater in that polymer room.
How many blocks of First Street is this gonna pay for?
This goes from Helen all the way to church.
That's just.
Keith, about how many blocks is it from Helen all the way down to church?
Well, I guess that'd be from
That's
Helen to Dallas, you mean?
Dallas. I'm
Yeah,
sorry.
so that doesn't run the right direction.
Helen and Foster and their,
It's from Helen to Dallas, I
Yes.
guess,
Yeah.
4 blocks.
4 blocks.
It's, the feet is on the change order. If you look at the change order, it will tell you how many feet.
How old are those lines, Keith? Like, older than
50
all of
years,
us?
probably.
50?
Well, you can drive down the
Too
road
old?
and see patches.
That's not old at
That's
all.
not, oh, I agree with you.
That's not old at all. That's,
What if we were to do
they're in their
two,
prime.
if we were to do 2 blocks,
Years of it.
do half of it, is there 2 blocks that's worse than the other, or are we just?
Oh, you have to go from a certain direction, you can't just pick.
You could go from Dallas Street this way or go from Helen this way. I would not do
You
that.
can't go in the middle.
But Keith might be able to answer if there's any.
Mary, would the $64,000 be a benefit to us?
Yes, and my recommendation would be, which I didn't hear back from you on the sewer thing, but I would say that, part of it would go directly to the IRS, and I would recommend that another portion of that be, something that we choose to restrict for seed money for sewer REAP grants, so that we can take advantage of matching funds and get more bang for our buck.
And when I was leaning toward it, if we could spend half.
Well, you can spend half, but, I think we need to go out on our meeting Tuesday and look at
Well, we're not,
some pumps and
obviously
stuff
not
like that.
gonna approve this change order for the 100 and whatever thousand.
Right.
That's what's on the agenda now, so it sounds like we need to do some regrouping.
I put something on the agenda so we can talk.
Right, right.
Yeah.
So it sounds like we need to do some
Yeah, after
regrouping.
Tuesday, we can probably start narrowing down some stuff. And we need to go out and double check on the plant and see what their motors or pumps that we need to.
I think what
Buys
Dale
and
wanted to
backups.
know is, do we or do we not want to spend the 65,000, right? Because
we
that's
can-
gonna, when you go back, if you're gonna go work on something, you need to know, do you have 100 And 1,000, or do you have 59,000, right? I mean, so you'll know what to work on.
Yeah, I mean,
So I think is that not really the main question, probably?
it probably is, and nothing says you can't request that 63,000 back
Right.
and use it for going down First Street. You see what I'm saying? It's
Yes.
still PWA funds.
We
So
think we
you
can
can
request
use
our
it.
money back, and then if we decide to do the whole thing, we just
Yeah,
pay
if
for
we
part of
request
that.
that money back, I say we use it.
I say it goes to pay some of the other things.
I'm always the type that likes to get as much done as I possibly can, because how often you gonna have that much
Well,
money available? to
Our
do it?
problem
But
is
that's
we
me.
owe the IRS and we have penalties.
And I understand what your issue is.
And
Well,
those
take care of a
penalties just
big
keep mounting.
pot.
Mhm.
But,
Well, thank you for giving us options, though.
yeah, thank you for educating us and letting us know those things. That was very good. So we'll have, no action on 13, and we'll regroup on a different type of change.
Is there any questions on that budget at all?
Looks pretty good to me.
I tried to put everything in there that you
Covered every
guys.
question we had, so.
Well, do we need to bring back Bengal in here again?
Yes.
Yeah, we're
Well,
to
Dale said,
that.
let's visit the bid dog.
We're just having no action on 13. So we're gonna go back to our item 16, Donna, we're back in new business. And Charlotte's here with rural water. district.
How you doing?
And I'm sorry, I should know your name.
Bud.
Bud, of course you're Bud, I just forgot, that's what 50 does to you, you know, I forgot, I knew your face. Dale, our question for you is, we're talking about, their concern is, as you already know, they don't have a concern with getting a new meter, they have a concern with moving the meter. Our question is moving the meter are we moving the meter for convenience or necessity?
Oh.
Okay. Tell me about the necessity part.
Necessity is you got a line that runs through a heavily wooded area right now. And I don't want the same issue we had with the line that we had down here. I want to know when that line breaks in that woods.
How much, tell me a distance, we're talking about the range of the wooded area. Are we
Quarter
talking,
mile.
so we're not talking
Half a
a
mile.
large amount of things that you would have to walk to find a leak if there was a leak?
If it's right there, we can hook it up to the SCADA system itself, okay? Philip can look at it every single day and determine if he's got a spike or not.
And he looks at that meter every single day now, he just goes down there and manually does that. So that would be the convenience part, right?
The convenience, that's one of the conveniences part, but he'll be looking at that meter throughout the day. It'll be on the screen.
Right.
Every time he
The
looks,
other is it
every
would
time
be
he gets on there, he's
24.
gonna be looking at it.
As long as somebody's there, they would be able to see what was going on. Otherwise, we'll only know when we go to read.
What's gonna be required to putting this,
The lanes.
moving this meter?
What's gonna be involved in it?
Required, yeah. Mhm.
We're gonna put a meter ball,
Mhm.
and we're just gonna put the meter right there, right outside the,
So it's gonna be all new,
it's all new.
all new. So why can we not put the meter up by the plant and leave his meter where it's at?
We can.
And
And that's what I told him.
And then that way, he can still go by and check his meter and stuff, and we can see if it corresponds with the electronic one or whatever, and what do you think
Why
about that,
can't we
Bud?
why can't we just change their meter out to be a new meter where it's at and not have one at the plant? Why could we not do that? Would a new meter not be the best way to go?
Or putting a new meter on,
But
but
I mean, replace their meter is what I'm saying.
There's-
Replace their meter because it would be better for everybody, I think.
Well, you don't have any monitoring of that line going to that pump station. Goes through the woods, nobody's ever out there. May or may not be an issue, I don't know, okay? Second thing is, when we put that electronic meter out there, the contractor has to get through the woods to get a line back to the plant. If we ever have to work on that electric line, it's gonna be hard to find through the woods. You got trees, roots, and everything else. I just think it would be better placed if it was up at the plant.
well, you could put a new one at the plant, and leave his old one, wouldn't have to change any easements or anything, right?
Right.
But if you put the whole thing up, we have to give him easement to be able to access his pump or his meter. So If we put a new meter on, it's on us, not on him, and he's got his regular meter.
Well, the meter is actually PWA's.
Yeah, the meter belongs to us, it doesn't belong to.
Mary?
May I ask a question?
Sure.
Under that scenario, whose meter are you going to read? You're gonna have a new meter and an old meter, and they're not going to read the same.
My recommendation would be, since there's an issue here, just keep the old meter.
So we're just gonna automatically forfeit what we know is water that we're selling. We're just gonna say, y'all can have that.
Right, well, if there's a big difference between the two, then I would recommend changing that old meter out to a new meter.
So we have to then buy 2 new meters.
You actually aren't buying the one we're putting up at the plant. The contractor's putting that one in. For
We're
the
paying
cost
for it
of
one way or
running.
the other.
Well,
It's about $5,000, isn't it?
well, I think that was a 3-inch, but he had to run the line down there to that old pump house, okay? And I wouldn't pay him for a new meter if he got out of putting that line down to the pump house.
Okay.
So that meter and that pump and everything else is not, quote unquote, is not costing you any extra, okay? It's part of the original bid. Even though the original
How
bid
is that
did not
meter that's
have-
in that building now? Charlie, do you know?
I think they done some work on it.
But the meter's been there as long as we can. Hey, Keith,
Keith said it hadn't been changed. I thought he said when y'all did that one.
do you know how old that meter is in the building
As far
there?
as I know, it's original. Do you know any different, Charlotte?
No, I don't know.
So I don't know when that system was out.
91 model.
91.
I think that's when they put the water line in, but I think it quit, was it, I don't know, 4 or 5 years ago or something?
I believe so.
Come in,
So it's had some,
So if we've already had some problems with it.
Well, the thing is right now, they're buying their water at that pump house. And if we try to say that pump house no longer the starting point, it goes back to the plant, they have to maintain that other quarter-mile line, which they probably don't need to. I mean, it's ours, we did it in the first place. So I wouldn't be opposed to just putting a meter up by the plant, and we still maintain that line up to your old meter, and you have that old meter to access in case you want to double check the figures.
Whenever I looked at that, I figured that would be an issue, is who maintains that line.
Yeah, that's what, but tell me, you wanna put a meter at the plant, why?
Because they don't have to run as much electronics to the other pump house to have trouble to deal with down the road. It's right there at the plant. It's cheaper and convenient, and it's better to have it at the plant. Because in other words, he'd have to run a line all the way down a quarter of a mile and worry about things happening to that line. And so this way he doesn't have
That
to,
would be my recommendation.
you know.
But if we don't read this electronically, we don't need all those new lines, right?
No, what it is instead of putting that new electronic meter at the pump house and running a quarter-mile line of wires and stuff to maintain that meter, we'll just put it at the plant. So we know how much is going through that one line. There's nothing else on that line other than Bengal. So we'll know exactly from the plant when it leaves the plant property,
Why would we maintain that line then?
because it's ours. We maintain it now.
Not if it's on the other side of that meter.
No, it's on our side of the old meter.
But
So-
if you put a meter at the plant, it's not gonna be.
Right,
So there's gonna be an
it's
argument at some
no,
point,
no,
why are we maintaining?
no, because it's our line right now. We have the easement and
Right
everything.
now it is, yes.
And it still will be.
Even though you move that meter.
You
You move that
you're
meter,
gonna have, the master meter will still be the one down at the
the
pump
one that's
station.
not
At the
working,
pump, at the
maybe
pump
right now.
station. That is still the master meter between PWA and Bengal, okay? The other meter is a recording meter for the plant. It's gonna, you know, it's
Tell you
just,
whether you get a leak or something.
it's gonna tell you if you got a leak, it's gonna tell you what your water loss is, it's gonna tell you how much water, you're sending in that direction. And I agree with Mary, if we get a large discrepancy between the two, then you know something needs to be done with the meter down
How much
there.
is it, how much would a new meter be in the building?
We'll say probably 2,000 to 2,500, it's a 3-inch meter.
Now, the meter that y'all want to put in, is it a turbine meter or is it a magnetic?
It's actually both.
Both?
Yeah, they got a hybrid meter, if you will. It's made for situations just like this. I've actually went to just these meters for master meters.
I mean, our usage is just gonna be on and off. I
Right.
mean, it's gonna be.
Right. From what I understand, your pump comes on, you pump up a tower, then the pump goes off, so.
Well, my concern is I think there's gonna be a discrepancy in having an old meter and a new meter.
There will
Well,
be.
we
And I think that we
we
should bill on our new meter.
Now, that's y'all's call, okay? That's, I can't make it.
I think we need to bill a new meter. Now, I don't know if if we put two new meters, if they would both read accurately. If,
You know, I don't know, I don't want to speak for Ben Gall, but maybe an option would be if that line does break, would have Talihina be willing to help fix the line. Because I think that's the main issue, right, is the line between them.
Yeah, I'd like to have access to that reading online.
Well, I don't know if Philip's here. Is there internet out of the plant? Does anybody know? There is
there's
internet out of
internet at
the
the
plant?
plant.
Yes.
Okay. He had requested if he could get access to that meter online. The only way to do that is give him access to the program that runs the plant. Okay?
Could that not be restricted to where I can't do anything?
Right.
That's my concern, is like,
You,
we gotta be so
I
careful.
wouldn't
Not,
want
not
that.
thinking that you are doing anything wrong, but thinking somebody else is gonna say, well, Bud has that access, I want that access, you know.
I just don't know how secure, I'd have to go back and talk to the programming people to see even if that's possible or not. Okay?
Now, I would think you would be welcome anytime to call and say, hey, what's our reading? And we can read it to you, or you would have access to come out and look.
I have issues with giving anyone access to our program. It's just not something you do.
And I don't even know if that internet connection's open all the time. It might be they shut it down. I don't know. I'd have to talk to Haynes. And if they ever have to get on there, then Philip has to do something to allow them on it. You know, I just cannot imagine that would be available online all the time. But I don't know. I'd have to ask Haynes. Haynes is the expert on the programming of the water treatment plant.
But in our, and I haven't seen your original contract, I don't know if you have it, Mary was trying to dig it up earlier today, but I would assume that it would be us providing the water, it's our responsibility to provide meters and to do the proper amount of billing. I can see great advantages of having a new meter electronically. I know how it's helping us regulate our waters and finding leaks.
Yeah, but he's concerned about the quarter-mile pipe.
Right.
That's ours, and it was ours in the beginning, and ours in the contract. And if we want to say it's not ours anymore, then we have to do a new contract and have to give him easement and everything else, which is kind of ridiculous. That's what I'm saying. Just,
I don't see any
you
problem if
know,
it's always
we
been
maintain the
ours,
line now,
that we should
you know.
maintain that line.
So just put the registering meter, the tech meter at the plant, and maintain the line, go off the old meter. If there's a discrepancy, let's sit down and try to figure it out.
We don't maintain lines from there normally. Are we gonna write it up, make an exception?
We do maintain that line to his pump house.
We do now, but we don't have a meter at the water plant, so I'm trying to say.
What I'm saying, it's not, the main meter will still be at his pump house. And it's just a
What
electronic
Jackie
meter.
is saying if we remove the main master meter.
Yeah, if we remove the master, but I'm saying leave.
She said
both of
we
them.
don't maintain lines like that now. TWA's responsibility stops at the master meter.
Right, and right now, we're maintaining all the way down to the master meter, which is where they're at.
Right.
And we're saying we're still gonna do the same thing.
We're saying we're leaving the
But if you
master
put
meter
another
down there.
meter up there, I was trying to figure out how we're gonna do
We're
that.
gonna do that.
Well, the electronic's not the master meter deal. What we're saying is just the recording meter. And if there's a discrepancy, we gotta sit down and look at it and figure out what's going on here.
So if we move the master meter,
No, we're not talking about moving the master meter,
I'm talking about, no, I'm asking a question.
okay?
And we leave the old meter, what kind of discrepancies are we talking about?
I don't know. I don't know how bad the old meter is or even if it's even bad. It might still be good.
They don't register more than what's going through them. If they get over the lose volume.
Yeah. But you said somebody worked on it 4 years ago. They might put all new guts in it. And if that's the case, master meters are pretty accurate, like 99% accurate when they're due.
Okay.
So, there might be an issue here, there might not be an issue here, okay? I would lean to the fact that there's probably gonna be a discrepancy, and the discrepancy is you're probably providing them more water than being recorded, simply because it's an older meter. But I don't know, it might be the other way, I don't know how, it could be.
But if we change out that master meter, we'll know.
Oh, yeah, yeah, the new meter we put in has been calibrated.
So what do we need to decide this evening?
Nothing was on the agenda somehow, I don't know if that was missed or what, but they just wanted to talk about it tonight.
Well, it has to be put on the agenda.
Yes, we won't be doing anything until the next regular meeting. We won't be doing anything, so it'll give us some time to talk about it and do some more research on it. Sounds like everybody's got a different opinion, so.
Just as long as he's made known
The next,
issue.
And if he was on the other side of it, you'd understand my position, so.
well, we're trying to understand that. We're trying to figure out what's necessity and what's convenient. On our side, we don't want to do, you know.
And if I was on y'all's side.
We don't wanna mess you up for our-
Time monitor too.
Right. Well, we don't want to mess you up for our convenience, if that makes sense. If it's a necessity, then we need to work through whatever it is.
And can you get hold of Amy's equipment and ask him about having access?
You know, we've already got a council member that's already saying, hey, I don't like that idea, so
Well,
I
that
think
may
that's gonna
be
be.
just to that meter. They may be able to limit me where I can just see that meter and that shouldn't affect y'all at all.
If I was you, I'd want to limit my liability to it anyway. The least you have access to, the better off you will be. They won't be asking you any questions if something goes wrong. But the next regular meeting, you know, we meet on the second Monday now of every month at 5:30. I'm not sure what that date is.
That original contract was rural
We'll
development, wasn't
definitely
it?
get it back on. the
That original contract was rural development, wasn't it?
And I wish,
Is there
like the ones that
Most of them were around here.
You know,
I don't know.
I would
we
say
had a
that.
deal
That
fail,
Yeah.
that would ease my mind.
so we brought it out on Tuesday.
Yeah, people think there would
I
be a
wish we could be notified when you have something major like that.
Definitely so, yeah.
I cannot
Because if they
imagine
get off,
that.
Yeah.
we can watch this
something
major
always
thing
open
with
to the
that.
end.
Yeah, it just,
But I really
Definitely
don't know.
so, because it affects all the rural water.
it's got to be on
We
the
didn't
out there.
know in time, we found out like,
Well, they didn't know in time either.
I know,
Donnie, are you and Ron been hearing that the rural water district would like to
Being
be
that call in.
notified?
I've already been talking to him. I think I mentioned it.
Yeah, but.
Did I mention that to you or, no, it was your husband.
probably,
I mentioned it to your husband that after we get it all done, that we want you and Haynes and everybody there to explain exactly what we've done. I've mentioned it to Whitesboro and Albion.
No, I mean, if we have a water leak
Oh, yeah.
that's major,
On the notification
who's gonna
list.
contact the rural water districts to let them know?
Yeah, they should,
how-
and like I
but
said-
who's gonna do that?
because we lost a pump during that deal.
That's what
Yeah.
I'm asking, who's gonna do that?
Well,
Philip?
it could be set up through the system,
Well, let's just right now talk about calling somebody.
but we just need to tweak it and look at the protocol and everything.
Well, I think it should be the operating manager on duty at the time, so if that's Philip, he needs to call the rural water districts. If it's Wayne who stepped in that position at that time, it should be Wayne. Whoever's on duty at the time that we lose power, lose
I
water,
think that'll work.
they need to call the rural water districts.
So
And
what,
make sure you have a phone number that you wanna be woke up at 4 o'clock in the morning, you know, so,
well,
yeah.
But I did, going back to my comment was, after this is all said and done, we finalize everything, we want all the rural districts to sit down and go over everything that we've done, so y'all know exactly what's happened out here at that plant. Because we're all partners in this thing.
That's another reason that I get those meter readings every day, because these purchase districts, they can't afford to be paying for water that they put down on the ground. So you can ask Bud, when I discover they've got a leak, I'll call you, huh?
Yeah.
And did you hear that, Philip, when we lose power and water at the plant, that we need to contact all the rural water districts?
I did.
He called me
You
at
called?
7, but he didn't know in time.
Right,
That's the problem.
okay, so that was already done, so good, good.
okay.
And then whoever's out there knows to do that too, if you're not the one in the operating
Yes.
seat right then.
And not
Okay, good.
just that water district, all the water districts.
And do you have?
Yes, I do with all of us.
Okay,
Good.
Good.
okay, so you
Hear it,
have
Cheryl.
to call me, you know, something, for everything.
If I notice that, say, because Bingo usually does around 20 to 25,000 gallons a day. If I notice they're doing 35 or 40, they've got, more than likely got a leak.
But if y'all are having an issue, do you have the numbers to call us? Okay.
Yeah, I got
We appreciate y'all coming, and we'll be visiting with you between now and the meeting, and we will have it on the agenda the next meeting, okay? Y'all got any more questions for anybody that's here? Okay. Item number 17.
I made a motion to adjourn.
Have a motion?
Second.
And a second. Any more discussion? Vote.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. Donna, thank you.